everyone. Welcome to the reboot of the Performance Zone. I'm Coach Banks and glad to have you with us. Thanks for being patient. We're still working out some of the bugs. We've aired about 100 episodes in previous years, took a little bit of a vacation, and now we're back with a reboot. And now the format for the new Performance Zone is more of an interview format, where I'm going to be bringing in, and also have brought in, industry experts to talk about different dynamics of the entertainment industry, Hollywood, production, acting, and all to educate you and enlighten you a little bit more, and myself as well, as I meet these amazing guests to find out more about what it is that we're impassioned with. So thanks, kick back, enjoy the show. Whenever you're watching, wherever you're watching from, we appreciate it. It's brought to you by Claybank Studio International, and we're ready to kick it off. And our first guest, we're honored to have with us a gentleman who actually was responsible for putting Hollywood online back in the late 90s and early 2000s with a lot of technologies and things that have come and gone and are still here today that he's going to enlighten us about, and some of the new things that are going on to help kind of inspire and motivate and promote actors and a lot of other interesting things we're going to find out about. So enough about me. I'd like to welcome Rick LaFond.
How you doing, Coach?
Good, Rick. Welcome.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
I think it's kind of cool that I'm like the first guest on the reboot of the Performance Zone.
Well, of course,
nice.
And it's an honor because, like, you helped start the original Performance Zone.
We did. We streamed a lot of those things, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And I just thought it fit once we got reestablished in this new location and put everything back up and just finished getting the technology together. What about 30 seconds ago?
Right.
And to have you come in, so thanks.
I got to say, this is the space here is phenomenal.
Oh, cool.
You did a really, really great job.
Great.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I think this
that.
looks like a very cool place to work and learn and perform, and it's tight and it's clean and it's very slick.
Nice.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that very much. Coming from you, I take that as a compliment.
I think it's awesome.
So, we want to talk a little bit. How about if we just start a little bit with your history? I mean,
sure.
It's back in the 90s. I mean, I remember doing a commercial. My agent calls me and said, there's a commercial for something called the new electronic superhighway.
Right.
That's what it was called.
That's what it was called.
That?
That's how I would explain it to casting directors and agents.
And it was like, what is this? I have no idea what I'm going. And I went into that audition with all the confidence in the world. Like, I'm just BSing like crazy.
Oh, of course.
I didn't know what it was. And it wound up being the internet.
Yeah, the way they described it was the internet, and then the way that you would enter the internet is you use your dial-up, and that was sort of like an on-ramp and an exit ramp, and along the highway there was all these different stores that you could stop and shop and do all these different services. It was an easy way to describe to people that have never heard of it, never seen it, didn't want to hear about it, didn't want to hear it, all of it.
How were you introduced to it?
I went to work for a company back in the 95, I think, 95 or 96, a company called CastNet, which was probably the first really online company for the entertainment industry as far as I know. But basically what they were also was a local ISP. They provided dial-ups. So they had dial-up pops where, everybody remember the dial-up, the AOLs and all that stuff? They had their own network. And at one time, CastNet or WaveNet was like the third largest ISP in Southern California.
Internet service provider.
Yes, sorry. And basically the way that we brought agents on or casting directors on is we would literally walk into their office, drop a computer on the desk, plug it into a phone line, dial them into one of the pops and say, you're now online. And that's how the founder of that company, a guy named Jay Sloatman, sort of built that network. So I learned a whole lot about dial-up by ISDN lines, frame relays, all this old school architecture where right now we take for granted. I mean, basically, a fast line was 128K, which is like nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Now, what was the purpose of introducing this to them?
Basically, we wanted to introduce, how do I explain it? Hollywood, as you know, was a very task-oriented service. The way actors got jobs is people would read the breakdowns.
Yeah, paper everywhere.
Paper and pictures and headshots and messengers and VHS tapes. We used to call them the tapes to the moon. You'd get, but basically the whole concept behind it was to take this process, this work process, streamline it down so that you remove, environmentally, you remove all the paper, all the trees, all the stuff. Time-wise, it's done in a click of a button rather than all day. It was all about economizing and making that process more efficient. Creating a searchable database, putting online videos up for people to watch. It was all about, the concept behind it was, hey, let's just make this easy and literally make everything electronic.
I thought for the longest time as a younger guy that newspapers didn't make sense to me. I said, there's got to just be like a paper that you can just, that it's just there and it changes. And here I am, I'm thinking about an iPad without even knowing it, but I didn't go out and do something about it. I just thought about it. You actually went out and did something about it.
Yeah, well, like I said, I was introduced to the internet and its possibilities by CastNet, and then I started a company called Nowcasting. And Nowcasting, along with my business partner, Bob Stewart, all we wanted to do was create opportunities for actors using the internet.
And that was online casting.
It was online
Right?
submissions.
Submissions.
Right.
Okay.
So we created this, and we were the first company to legitimize actors being able to submit to union gigs. In the past, no actor was allowed to submit themselves to any network show, any
Right.
SAG or
You used
after
to have
show.
to do these underground black market
Right, exactly.
breakdowns. And
You have to,
everything. Fictitious
but that never
management
happened.
companies.
Right.
We didn't really do that.
No,
I mean,
that didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
But the whole concept was like, look, and I believe this because I had been working with casting directors for, I don't know, 10 years by that point. And they all wanted to be able to get actor submissions, but what they didn't want was the extra boxes of pictures that showed up that they didn't ask for. So Bob and I built this system. We built a searchable database, and basically I went out and I asked casting directors if I could deliver actor submissions to you in an efficient way that made your life a whole lot easier and removed all these boxes from your office during episodic season or pilot season, would you be interested? And they said, yeah. So basically, that's how it took off. We got the casting notices directly from the casting director with their permission, put it up. Bob built some really serious filters so that an 85-year-old man couldn't submit for an 18-year-old kid.
Oh, really?
So that made it easier, and then it built up from there.
And then things started to happen as more people started finding out about this.
Yeah.
I guess. What went on in that period? Yeah, I know there's only so much you can talk about.
No, but basically,
it got a little dicey.
Yeah, but there were a lot of companies came on the scene. A lot of people, after they realized that this could be done, and were the best way that I can describe it is the Hollywood industry is a little bit resistant to change. They get into their groove, and they like what they do. It works. Why fix it? The other companies involved in that process were making a whole lot of money on delivery services and all that other stuff. So that was sort of removed. So there was a little bit of a kickback to this internet, and then things they were making up. It's not secure. It's all that stuff, but it wasn't. So basically, there was an educational process, and then basically after about, I think Nowcasting was open. Nowcasting was open maybe 4 years, and during that 4-year period, at that time, casting directors were taking electronic and hard copy.
Were you the only one?
We were the only one doing electronic submissions for about 2 years. Then LA Casting came on board, and Breakdown Services created their system.
And now we got Actors Access.
We got Actors Access.
Backstage West.
And all of this was a copy of our actor services. All we wanted to do was provide legitimate opportunities for actors. That was our gig. And then everybody else sort of came in.
And that's kind of your deal. This is what you're pretty much all about, is wanting to create opportunities for actors.
Yes, that's my passion.
Let's talk about that.
Well, I came to LA as an actor. I came to LA as an actor with an MBA. So I'm like, this just like your newspaper didn't make sense. What I didn't understand, I helped run a company called Showfax.
Oh yeah.
So I had access to all these sides. So I pretty much knew what was being cast, and I was like, well, how can I use this information to help promote my career?
Right.
And there really wasn't any other way other than driving my agent nuts. Calling my agent and saying, "Hey, it's Rick. What about this NYPDB? What about, all that?"
right.
And they'd be like, "Rick, we got it. Because no agent." I remember my agent saying, "You got to stop." But I had a wealth of information. And then I learned about the process, about how actors did go out and help themselves, and it wasn't legit. People were getting in trouble, and people were getting beat up, like threatened, whatever it was. It wasn't kosher. And then I met, I was, like I said, Showfax to Castnet and Internet, and then I met a guy named Bob Stewart, who was running a little actor company, LA Actors, and all they were about was, helping each other get work.
But he wasn't an actor?
Bob was an actor, sure.
And so his what was
he had a little
deal?
gig. His little thing was called LA Actors, and he used to create a really great CD guide. I don't know if LA Casting, LA Actors would print this CD
casting director
guide,
right.
which was the best on the market. But anyway, we sort of got together, and he had this idea about creating this company that helped actors submit, and I was like, oh, well, I have the same idea. I have a similar idea, and so we got together, and that's how it started. And then from that moment on, it was all about creating opportunities for actors for legitimate work, and not it costing them, millions of dollars. So that's what we did. We went out, from electronic submissions, we put demo reels online. We created resume clips so that casting directors didn't have to watch a 4-minute video to see the Grey's Anatomy clip. They could just click on the Grey's Anatomy clip.
Right.
Then
Remember that was difficult. We used to have to go to libraries and go to the studios and actually order episodes to look at the shows we were going to audition for.
Now that's all become different, but that's
long time ago.
It was a long time ago. But yeah, so basically, like I said, that's what we did. We put postcards online. We created databases for actors to be able to search who was casting what. In that database, you could, there was tips and tricks for that casting director. Like, this person doesn't like to shake hands. It's not personal. It's a health thing.
You're learning the people.
You're learning. So when you walk into the, because as an actor, you walk into the audition room. If you don't know that casting director, you could do something that would
crapshoot.
Yeah. So we tried to prepare them and give them as much information as possible so that they could walk into a room, have the material. The side service was killer. The one thing that great thing that we did at Castnet was create this huge automated side service, which was killer. But it was information, access legally or legitimately, and a way to promote and market themselves.
Yeah, and since I've known you, which has been, coming up on 7 years or so now.
Is it that long?
I think so.
Yeah,
it's
been a
we
while.
worked together in the same space for almost 6.
Right.
That's been over a year, and I knew you a little bit before that. I've just known you to always be doing these type of things. So before we get to what you do in present day, I just want to kind of just share with the viewers and listeners that I was introduced to you with you wanting to see how you could bring actors together with different instructors all over the world, and we had Jason Alexander,
right?
George from Seinfeld. I remember he came in a few times, and you tried to introduce some of that technology. He was really resistant to all that. But we had him coaching somebody, I think, in Kansas City.
In Kansas City, yeah.
And while he was coaching a whole room full of people here in Hollywood,
and in Kansas,
and
we had a room full of people in Kansas as well. Yeah.
And just I remember that you were always doing something to just make this work.
That's the goal. I mean, with the internet, the one great thing about the internet is it's sort of, it makes the world a little bit smaller. So I can take somebody with your talent as a coach, as a teacher, as an inspirer, and I'm like, look, my goal was to bring you to them, but via the internet, so that people could learn. That have this fire, that have this passion for acting, and maybe at this point don't have the resources to make the trip or have a seminar or come out and do the 2-week gig or whatever it is. They get the opportunity to listen, learn, and get inspired by somebody that has your credentials. That was the whole thing, and eventually be able to be coached by you. Now everybody does online coaching now. I mean, that was I don't want to say that I pioneered it, but that was
But
where
I do remember about 5 or 6 years ago when you had, I know you contacted like 50 of the top instructors in the industry,
Yeah.
and you were working with them to get their, and I was one of those
One of them,
people
yeah.
getting our coaching out to the world.
Right, master teachers. I wanted to bring master teachers to the world, and I wanted actors to have a resource where they could sit and learn at their own pace without having to spend a buttload of money to come out here and do it live. Now look, there's nothing better than live, but this whole internet thing it does work, and it is effective.
Right. Now, I've been working with Rick for a while, as I just mentioned, and the thing that I've experienced, just not really being as deep into the electronics as he is how quickly it changes.
Yeah.
And how you have to stay up on the latest and the greatest. So what's happening now?
Now it's all about social media. It's all about, I mean, the internet is, look, right now the big thing about the internet is the speeds. The speeds are getting insane. We're walking around with a phone that has, 50, 60 megabits of speed, which is, it pretty much allows you to do anything.
You're going into 5G.
5G, the whole thing. So basically, the power of the internet, it's all based on speed and access. Along with that, I believe, is this phenomenon called social media, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Snapchats, the Pinterests, all of these things. And, as a vehicle for exposure, as a vehicle for getting yourself seen or just promoting who you are and what you're doing, Instagram has become a pretty powerful tool for actors.
Would you say it's number one?
Right now it is, I think, as far as
for actors.
For actors, yeah. Absolutely. It's certainly from what I understand and from what I've heard, the industry, if they're judging, I shouldn't say judging, if they're taking into consideration an actor's presence or audience, the numbers that they judge that by are Instagram numbers. How many followers do they have? What's their engagement of that audience? And that's why Actor Influencer was born, because I think the industry is hungry for actors that have influence.
Now, we're going to roll into the Actor's Influencer. I know that Rick is always on the edge of looking for what's going to, and he's done so many things that you won't even hear about because they've been attempts, and some of them have been successful. Some
haven't.
Some are just ideas that help get to another level of effectiveness. But right now, you're actively involved in the Actor Influencer. Let's open that up. Where is that? What's going on?
What is that? I think personally, I mean, again, this is just my personal observation. I think that, fairly or unfairly, because actors are.
Well, what is it? For people who have no idea what the Actor Influencer is.
Actor Influencer is your presence on social media. It is basically how many followers do you have on your Instagram page? What is the engagement of that following? So if you have 10,000 followers and your engagement is 4%, that means usually when you post something, you get 400 likes. It's just simple math. It's measured in other ways.
Is that what you find it to be as someone who studies all this? 4% is about.
Yeah.
Is there an average? Is that the
There
average?
is. There's, but it varies with the amount of. It becomes way difficult to keep a 4% engaged audience at 250,000 people. That's difficult, especially if you don't have a third party vehicle driving the traffic. If you don't have a TV show, or if you're not a mega star,
Okay.
Basically it's like you have to have that third party thing that drives traffic to the page in order to keep the engagement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just talking to my producer. I think the fan isn't. If we could cool it off just a little, that'd be awesome. The studio's heating up here, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
But basically, what I think there was a shortage of, again, were actors that had an influence. Working actors like you and me, like people that are actively looking for work, that are promoting themselves, that are trying to get out there, that are trying to get work. I think that there's now a conversation, and there's an argument about how much weighs in and how much doesn't weigh in. I can say that I believe that an actor's social presence is a factor when they get hired.
Yeah.
How big a factor, I don't know.
We just to jump in real quick. We do casting director workshops in here on the weekends right now, and this question comes up a lot, like very often. And the last response, I won't talk say who the casting director is, but the last casting director that was in here, when she's asked that question, I think she really hit it home for me. She goes, the question was, is your social media followings, does that factor into your ability to be cast? And she goes, I don't like it, but yes.
Yes. And that's the argument everybody makes. I mean, to a certain degree, I feel that. I mean, you're expected to bring your talent, you're expected to bring your professionalism, you're expected to bring your look, whatever that look may be.
But if you come with 250,000 followers,
it's a bonus.
And someone else is coming with 10.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you and I are for the same role, and you have 50,000 people, and I've got 5, you win. Mm-hmm. If everything else is equal, if everything else is equal, you're going to win. And I think it becomes more important as content is created on different platforms.
It's built-in advertising.
It can be.
So the actor actually comes with ad
eyeballs.
Money. Yeah, eyeballs.
Yeah, and whether we might not like it, the casting directors might not like it, and rightfully so, whatever that argument is. But producers, if they've got eyeballs, that helps them. That helps them sell their product. And basically, it also, with the new platforms that content is being created on, the Netflix, the Hulus, the Amazons, all of these, the YouTubes, this is all online. So if you've got an audience, a follower that is already used to working online, then it's an easier migration from the person that likes to still flip the channels. It's easier for them to say, it's easier for me to post on my page, hey, come watch me on the new Netflix show, whatever that show may be, or I'm doing an independent web series. I'll check that out. Why? Internet's faster. The phone's more. The phone is.
Hey, we're airing the Performance Zone right now.
Exactly.
Right.
So all the tools, in my head, all the tools that we needed to make that instant access or gratification happen are all there. Now we just need to sort of fill the void. And I believe, in my opinion, there's a big void of actors that have influencers. That's why the actor-influencer business, I think, is probably the next level, the next evolution of what's going to be needed.
So how does it work? I'm an actor. You have this service called Actor Influencer. How does it all work?
It's simple. We create traffic for your page. We create targeted, real people traffic that come to your page to view your content.
So this isn't phony baloney stuff.
It's not. We don't sell fake followers. We don't sell fake likes. Instagram abhors that stuff. They don't like it. But basically, we drive targeted traffic to your page. Actors, male, whatever your demographic is. You can help us build that page, those target pools, whatever you might be interested in, voiceover or something like that. But we gather the information about the actor. We fill the target pool, and then basically we literally drive traffic to that page by following the followers of those target pools. We do some liking, we do story viewing, we do all of this so that when they get to your page, and here's where your responsibility comes in, they like what they see.
So we create the content, the pictures, and tell the stories, and you're helping to drive it out to more people.
Right. So rather than you sitting at your phone for 10 hours a day, liking, unliking, following,
you do it.
I do it. That's pretty much
How
it.
are those fingers doing?
Yeah, right? It's like
So how many clients do you have?
Too many. I'm walking around like this. No, but it's all, but basically that's what we do in a nutshell. And if you're posting vibrant, interesting, bold content, which you should do as an actor, you should do that.
How about some tips? You have some tips for Instagram?
Yes, absolutely. You need to create a journey that people want to see. That includes you. So don't put up a cute picture of your dog, of your cute dog. Put up a picture of you and your dog.
That's where I'm messing it up.
Post content that's relative to what you're representing. If you're an actor, then I want to see that you're an actor. I want to see what it is that you do in your daily life, what it is that you do to pursue your career. Instagram is all about joining, in my opinion, is all about joining people on a journey. I am interested in Clay Banks. I like his look, I like what he's doing, I like what he's about, I like his show, and I come to this page to feel involved with his journey towards whatever his goal
great.
is. So that's what I would recommend. Now, statistics show that
Skin cells,
well, yes, well, of course.
right?
Yeah, well,
right?
of course it does. But basically, I think Instagram is also trying to kind of lock down on that a little bit too. But what I was going to say is that they're interested in seeing a picture of you doing something. Like I said, the dog analogy is you can have this beautiful dog and it'll get 50 likes. But if you just pick it up, look at my cute little dog. But if you put you and your dog, you'll get 150 likes because people want to see you. They want to be involved
That's great.
with you.
It's good to know.
And then there's a whole other level. There's stories now. So you can literally drop in. You can hey, Coach Banks, I'm on my way to get, going to my workout, going to my, whatever it is. I'm going to go teach my class.
So here, let me, I know there's going to be people listening and watching that this is just, okay, they get this, they know how to do it.
Yeah.
But then there's people like me, I don't really mess with it that much. So the whole thing between a feed and a story, what's the deal there?
The story is video. It's like a little 30-second, 10-second thing. Hey, it's Rick LaFond, how you doing? I'm picking up my kids at the pool, whatever it is. It's a drop-in my opinion. It's like you're letting people sort of see you in action. Now smart people have used this for a whole variety of things. They've chopped up different little tags, I call them, and basically they can literally unroll a story for you and then
Telling a little movie.
yeah, it's cool. And video
So
on
you
it.
get little pieces of it at a time.
And video on Instagram is very hot. It's a very big deal. And
So is the story more powerful than the feed?
I think what I tell everybody when I consult on content is there's got to be a balance. You should be posting on your feed 3 to 5 times a week. You should be creating 3 to 5 stories a day, if you can do it. That's
Putting them up?
Yeah.
3 to 5 a day?
Look, ask anybody. It's easy. Boom, up you go. That's it. You can leave video. There's all these little apps that you can use. It's all there. It's not.
So I could do this right now?
Yeah.
I could create a story?
Don't ask me how, because I'm not.
Okay. So I could actually go to my Instagram page.
Yeah.
And
you might want to have Lauren do it because she's.
Lauren, you might want to fire this up for me and show me how to do it. I want to know how to do this. I know you guys might think this is silly, but I actually have people that do this. How does that work?
I'm grabbing it.
Okay.
We have a question from Brooke Curtis from LA.
Let's jump in and
All right, Brooke.
see what Brooke has to say. How you doing, Brooke?
Hey, Brooke wants to know, digital submissions have come a long way. Do you see where they're heading next?
I think digital submissions. I think what sort of jumped off the digital submission is it's now becoming all. Let me think. My answer is online auditions. I believe that digital submissions are never going to go away because people need to see people before they invite them. But I think there will become a day where, as this self-tape technology increases, I think that people will be auditioning in their home. I think people will be auditioning in spaces that are created for auditioning. Like people could come here, you could have a little booth, and for a couple of bucks they could sit down and do their audition live in front of the casting director.
Back in the day, I remember when I was auditioning, they would run IT cable, and you would talk to the director in Chicago or something. What right?
Yeah. Well, basically, when I had the other studio, we would have live casting auditions.
Right.
So we would be doing a setup like this, where we would be streaming the audition. There'd be a casting director sitting in Atlanta.
Right.
On what we used to call the God mic.
I've done that.
So you'll be casting, and all of a sudden you hear, "That was great. Now, can you sit down?" And you're like, "Okay." But to answer Brooke's question, the digital submission was the beginning of the whole process. From there, it has avalanched into a whole lot of different digital tools that casting and producers can use. Online auditions, having the ability to literally tape, encode, upload for people to view an hour later it's there, it's working, everybody's doing it. So that at that point that creates the casting net gets wider.
So self-tapes obviously used to be, it's happening now. I mean,
Yeah.
self-tapes are the way they do it. Casting directors just find it so much easier. It just,
Well, even in LA, it's like, I have
to
active,
drive.
exactly. I mean, that was the whole sale on Showfax. I'd get on the phone with the casting director and say, look, here's the truth. I have an audition for you. It's 3 pages. I work in Burbank, so I have to get in my car. It's 4 o'clock. I have to drive so that means I have to leave work. I have to get on the 405, and I have to go to the Fox lot, park my car, walk, pick up the 3 pages, walk back to my car, and get back. I'll be back by 8 o'clock.
Right.
I've lost 4 hours of work. I've spent 5 hours of
the
gas
sides.
to get sides that I'm charging $3 for. And most of the casting directors are like, okay, that's right. And it's the same thing with online auditions. When I was in Chicago, we used to get put on tape all the time. We used to call it tapes to the moon. I mentioned it earlier. We'd all go to the casting director, our agent's office, and audition for all the pilots and all that kind of stuff. We thought we were badass, but we never got seen. But now it's a whole different deal. The speed at which information can be delivered and the quality of the audition showing up, it's like being in the room.
It'd be interesting to see if actually the filmmaking process would be, there would be different little satellite studio outfits that are set up all over the place that would have different locations. And then the actor would just go to these locations, and then the director will actually compile the entire story from all over the world without ever meeting the actors.
So directing a movie from his living room.
Right, exactly. In his underwear.
Right, but basically
Or her underwear.
that can be done now. That can certainly be done now.
Yeah.
You and I could go to a set that's crewed, that has camera and makeup and maybe a first AD or a B crew, or we might be the F crew for all we know, because it depends on how many locations they have. The casting director could be watching the screen from his home, and he would say, great guys, great. He could direct us from wherever he is. So the power of this, I don't know if I answered your question, Brooke, but it's like the digital submission was the tip of the iceberg. Once casting directors and the industry, I believe, got used to this whole idea of instant, it's instant. It's click, there's Clay. Oh, let me watch his demo reel. Click, oh, there's Clay's demo reel. Great. I mean, it's right there. So there's no, what, we really like Clay. We'd like to call him back. Can you please send over a DVD? That stuff, those days are gone.
Oh, sure. What's a DVD?
What's a DVD? But now it's like,
yeah, well, the new thing for me, at least, just looking, because I do some casting still, is the slate shots, which I love those slate shots. It's like so you have the picture, then there's the resume, and then there's the demo reel. But if you just want a slate shot, the last film I cast was a few weeks back. I was like, wow, I can tell very quickly on the slate shot. Okay, I get this person in 4 seconds.
That's the whole boom. Yeah. And casting directors are really good at their jobs. So all they need is 4 seconds. That was the whole argument at the beginning. If these people would give me 20-minute demo reels, I'm like, you know what?
20 minutes.
You need 30 seconds.
It's like forever now.
And that's what I believe that a casting director, if you asked most of the casting directors, they would say, look, we know 90% of the time when you walk in the room.
Right.
That this guy or gal has the right feel, the right presence, the right power, the right look. 90% of the time we know.
And the casting director's taking pictures at 1,000 frames a second.
Oh my God, it's insane.
So much information.
And then with that slate thing, they can also show, like, in the first 5 seconds, 10 seconds of any demo reel, they can say, okay, yeah, we'll see this person.
Exactly.
And the same thing with the slate. So it's like, yeah, he's got the right energy, he's got the right look, bring him in.
Yeah. Hey, how do we make out over there?
Good. I posted a story for you.
Oh, you did it already.
I did it already.
Oh, it's
There's
done.
a live video of the behind the scenes, and John is in it, and I'm in it.
Okay, great. Yeah, show them the studio. I should give them a look around.
Yeah.
Hey, go to my Instagram page and take a look around at this setup.
Well, CBS, you have an Instagram page.
Yeah, I don't do it though.
Oh, well.
I should. I guess. Maybe I will after this.
Who knows?
Hey, I gotta get longer arms.
Right. The selfie thing I never really.
We could have an extension. Just
well, they have
right
the
out of your
sticks.
hand, right?
Everyone's walking around
with the
taking
sticks,
pictures.
The selfie sticks.
But yeah.
So, what about this actor influencer? So, how does somebody go about finding out more about it, or
you just go to the Actor Influencer website. It's actorinfluencer.com. It's all right.
Actorinfluencer.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Then what?
we have a CBSI coupon code.
Ooh, well, why don't we give that out?
It's CBSI 30.
What's that, 30? What do they get?
$30 off.
$30 off, CBSI 30 at actorinfluencer.com. You heard it here first. Just now, I'm hearing it first. So there we go. Thanks for that.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Basically, they sign up, and then we, like I said, if they want to consult, if they want to have a phone call, there's a number, and they can call us, and we'll get back to them, and we can talk about their content and sort of strategize with them a little bit. We're not really content management, but we can look at a page and say, okay, there's a lot of blurry pictures on here. There's a lot of darkness. You have to brighten this up. You know, I'm sure that they all have questions of do's and don'ts, you know. So there's a whole page that's tips and tricks. So even if you just want to learn what's right and what's wrong, if you go to the website, there's a little section called tips and tricks. Please take a look at it. It sort of gives you.
Well, that's great.
So
even they can just go to the website right
and
now,
learn.
actorinfluencer.com, go to tips and tricks
And learn.
And probably improve their followings.
Right.
And engagements.
And engagement. And basically, well, I think, you know, all things evolve, right? So I think the days of just having 100,000 followers, they're not quite over, but people are the people that are interested in this presence are also interested in the engagement. How active is this audience? So going back to the eyeballs for the producers, you know, if I have 100,000 followers and I have a 4% engagement, that means pretty much 4,000 people are going to look at what I post or like it or do something. And that's 4,000 people that this producer didn't have before, or this director or whatever. So when I do say, hey, check me out on the new, you know, CBSI web series or whatever, or the Performance Zone, my engagement, that number, it's like, okay, so we should expect anywhere from 0 to 4,000, rather than having these people that have 1 million followers and are getting, you know, 100 likes, or those days are over. You know, I don't know if I made that clear, but it's like they want engagement. They want people to be engaged with what you're doing, and that's driven by content.
Now, I heard recently that their Instagram is actually experimenting with, I think, 6 or 7 different countries right now, where they're actually limiting the amount of likes that they're making available because of a lot of damage that's being done to teenagers that are just obsessed with it and whatnot.
Damage? What kind of?
Meaning their concentration levels are doing nothing else. They're just staying in the Insta world. And
because of the likes,
and either just trying like crazy to get likes, or their lives are being damaged due to the fact that they don't fit in like everybody else. I mean, it's all these studies.
Well, that's just social media. I mean, that's
right.
Those are the evils of social media.
Right, I get that. We could do
that's a whole other conversation,
that,
right? Yeah,
that's not really what I want to talk about.
I'll be back.
But what I want to get to is that the fact that they're experimenting with the way that they want the technology to roll out, and who they do want to see or not want to see, or how they want that to be. Do you see that becoming something with them changing the algorithms and doing things?
They've done a
or is
lot
it
of
always happening.
No,
like that?
Instagram they've done a lot of changes. In the last 8 weeks, they've completely revamped how people can promote themselves, what's expected.
How does it affect us, the user?
The user, it demands of you a higher quality content. You have to. I don't know. It's no longer as easy as it was. The daily limitations are more strict. Instagram is really, from my understanding, I don't know anybody at Instagram, although I'd love to have a conversation, because I do think that a couple of things that they're doing are not cool for the masses.
Like what?
I think they're punishing people for trying to promote their page, and I don't think that's right. You know, I understand that they don't like fake involvement or engagement. I understand that the person that can afford to go buy 1 million followers and 1 million fake likes and all that kind of stuff, I understand why that shouldn't exist. But people that are promoting for real people and putting in the time and putting in the content, they're still getting punished on how they promote, whether they're doing too many likes or too many follows or whatever it is. And then Instagram has become very harsh with warnings and very harsh with what they call action blocks.
So these are like filters.
Yeah, filters, but it's also limitations. It's like, you're only allowed to do so many follows a day.
How would I know? Would I get a warning?
You get blocked. Yeah, you get a warning. All of a sudden you can't do that function anymore.
Oh, just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And they'll say you'll be blocked for 24 hours. You can use this function again in 3 days. So they're really cracking down on it. And not
is that to protect, like from roboing and things like that?
My guess is it's a direct shot at the people that are gathering fake followers and fake likes. People that, like the people that do have 150,000 followers and 5 people like their page. That's a problem. That's all sort of artificially engaged. It's all artificially made. And they should not enjoy that. The engagement should be real people engaging with real people. However, what they've missed, and again, this is my opinion, what they is that there's really no human being on the planet that can sit around and just like and unlike and follow 400 or 500 people a day. It's just that, so.
I bet there are.
There are, but it's not, but basically, like I said, this is a whole other conversation, but I think the harshness in which they've reacted, I think is going to probably affect their audience.
So if by chance a higher up with Instagram were watching
Tell them
or
I have a
listening to
solution.
this, how would they go about contacting you?
Go to Actor Influencer and email me.
Actor Influencer, and there's a contact page.
But
is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
But I don't know how we got on this. We were
talking about how Instagram is experimenting in different.
Oh, the
countries.
likes.
Yes.
Taking away. I don't know how that's going to play. I know people aren't really happy about it.
But it's not going away.
No. From my understanding is that you will no longer see. I'll go to your page, and I won't see how many likes you're getting. I won't see your engagement. I don't understand why they're doing that. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because that's what they've been driving people to do for all these years, is like have an engaged audience. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. I really don't. I have a theory about what they would do, but I don't think. I think taking away that information is going to, there'll be a kickback for it.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents. I don't know.
Got that. How about this? Let's take a minute to go and speculate. Where do you think it's all going to go next?
The social media or the whole industry?
Well, let's start with the social media. I mean, because I remember when Instagram was some new kind of thing for kids that were sending pictures. That's how it came across to me.
Right. It was built. I think it was built originally.
Twitter was really driving a lot of action.
Right. Well, Twitter and Facebook and all these people, and they got really political really fast.
Right.
I think that the beauty of Instagram is that it's all about the content. Now, it's not as political as Facebook or Twitter.
So where would it go? What do you think would happen next?
Facebook
is always, there's always conversations about Facebook.
Yeah, but Facebook,
it's out, it's coming, it's going.
I think Instagram is going to age up a little bit. If they do it right, I think they'll have a very powerful tool for small businesses. I think that I don't know, but I believe that they want to get into the content creation space, along with the Netflixes and all these other people. I mean, that's a big space to play. As far as the actor influencer and on the production side, we talked about this briefly. I think if you have a cast of people that have influence, I think that'll help distribution. I think it'll help financing. I think it'll help getting sponsors. I mean, because if you're bringing a project to the table with 1 million eyeballs, it's almost instant. It's almost instant distribution.
So we talked about this a little earlier, and you were mentioning that it's not so much for actors, but where would the actor be involved in that?
Well,
how can that help them?
It'll get them work. I believe that there is a huge content shortage in the world of content. I think all the big players are looking for content, looking for people that can create dynamic content, that people want to watch for a decent price. And I'll retract that statement that I said before we turned on the cameras. I do think it involves the actor, because I think the actor can now become involved in creating their own content. It's easy to put up a web series. I mean, it's not easy. I shouldn't say that it's not easy. You need somebody to write it.
It's there.
It's there.
It's doable.
Right. It doesn't. we've all seen the movies made on iPhones, and the I mean, it's 4G, it's awesome, 4K. It's like
I was just working on a movie set Monday, and we were shooting with the Red, and all there, and we're shooting the scene, and I just pulled out my camera next to the DP just to kind of get my own little piece of it, and I'm shooting on my Android, and I'm looking at his viewfinder, I'm looking at my viewfinder, and I'm going,
not a hell of a lot of
why am I
difference here.
paying for this?
That's what people. I mean, you could probably could probably tell us the differences between.
Oh, I'm sure someone just listened to this.
Yeah, and just said, "Oh,
right
you
on,
don't know what the hell they're talking about."
We're going to plug in everything.
But basically,
but I mean, seriously, you can do it.
Yeah, and and if you can sell the idea,
sure.
If somebody
Cut
like
it on iMovie, and
right, or if in a perfect world, one of the big three or big four look at it and go, who is this guy? Who are these people?
If the content is good.
Solid.
Yes.
It's got to be solid.
Right.
There's, where is this going? Like I said, Instagram. I think Instagram is, like I said, they're making some algorithm changes. They're trying to corral in or I don't know, clean out dormant pages and all these different things, which I think is necessary. But I hope they don't do it to the extent that it kills the excitement of what Instagram could be, which I think, I know they're owned by the same company, but I do think that people lost a lot of excitement with Facebook when they started taking away different tools and the different freedoms that you had as far as communicating with your friends and all that.
Yeah, I remember they put a circle on who you could actually reach.
Yeah,
and
it became, and then it became something different. Whether that's good or bad, that's your opinion, but it became something different. I think Instagram has a hell of an opportunity here, not only to be a major player in any industry that they choose to be involved with, but they have a really solid chance of really being, a major player in whatever they decide to be, like a content or whatever. And I think as far as a young filmmaker or actor that's creating content, I think that if they can harness the power of each individual's influence and put them into a project and have that project have influence and then create a promotional schedule for that project involving everybody involved, you could have 1 million followers that are engaged before you even turn on the cameras. So all of a sudden, that's a pretty good selling gig for somebody who wants to buy, invest, that kind of thing. So it's all there, I think.
What would you say the action task would be for the actor listening?
If the actor, I know that actors they're asked a lot. Be in class. Every actor should be in class. We know that. Have a good headshot. Even though it's online, make sure you have a good headshot.
Gotta pop.
You've got to promote yourself. Stay in shape. Your tool. You've got your body. You've got your tool, your voice, all of it. And that list grows. Ever since I've been doing this since 1994, that list gets longer and longer and longer. What's expected? What's expected? What's expected? For better or worse, I think that the actor is going now they're going to be expected to have a solid social presence. That's going to take, a solid page with solid content and maybe the aid of actor influencer, or maybe there's, maybe they have some other third party thing that's throwing them traffic. But basically, while they're taking care of everything that's here, they're also going to have to start paying attention to the social media world, because Hollywood is looking at it. They have teams sifting through social media, looking for people, looking for content. That's what they don't want to miss. You know how it is. They don't want to miss the new thing. And if you're really serious about this, you need to participate in that new platform.
Okay, fantastic. So, in ending this,
Yeah. Have we really been talking for an actor?
What's
Yeah,
that?
We've been talking a long time.
We've covered a lot of ground. It's been great.
Okay.
I'm learning a lot over here myself. It's a good show. I think I'll watch.
I know I will, to make sure. I'm like, oh no, you might get a retraction.
So a couple questions.
Yeah.
What would you say would be your biggest, say, concern, fear, worry about where things are going?
I think the biggest fear is probably gets too impersonal. I think that people might rely too much on technology rather than the human spirit or the energy of that human being. You know, trouble shows up when trouble shows up, and usually, you know, it's because they've overdone it. They've taken it too far. Now, you know, it's hard to say exactly what, but I think that people, you know, there'll be too much of watching auditions in your car and directing from your cabin.
You mean your self-driven automobiles, so you can do all this in
Right,
the car,
exactly.
right?
Look, technology is a wonderful thing, but if it takes away the interaction between you and me, I think a lot will be lost in that. That's my 2 cents.
You know, that's really spot on, because back in the 80s, you know that I got caught up in corporate and got into motivation and all the life empowerment principles that kind of make me who I am. And I remember reading several books of speculators in the 80s. Now, this is in the 80s, talking about where things were going. And one of the comments, I don't remember the author that actually said this, but he talked about the dynamic of high tech, high touch. That technology is going to get to the point where it becomes so advanced that it will start to remove people from one another. However, the human spirit will always need to be in contact with each other. And he actually made a reference saying that you're going to be able to watch movies in your own house. How funny is this now?
Right.
Watch movies in your own house without having to leave your house, but people will still want to go to a theater to be involved with each other.
To be involved, not only with the intro, but I mean, look, you've been to a great show. When you're in a theater, and that show's popping, you're like, you're energized by it. So what I hope is that it just doesn't become too manual or too automated.
Got it. Okay, you get one post, one time to send out to the world, and everyone sees it. What would that post say or be or look like?
Wow, that's okay. I feel like I'm like on inside the actor's studio.
Yeah,
You're gonna ask me my favorite curse word?
When you
one
get
post.
to heaven, what do you want to
Right,
ask God?
That's just like, you know, one post, huh? I don't
You
know.
get to say one thing to everybody one time.
Do what makes you happy.
Okay.
Do what you love.
Do what you love.
Yeah. You know, I think that if you get caught, everybody can get caught in the humdrum of doing things that they feel that they have to do in order to just survive. But I think that, going back to your human spirit thing, I think that if you really can find something that drives your soul, everything else would become easier. That would be my post.
Your passion.
Yeah, find it, hold on to it, share it, grow it, expand it, evolve it, make it so that everybody wants to be a part of it. You know, that's what it is, in my opinion, that's part of what it is to be an actor. I've got something to share. I've got something to say to you. Come join me. Simple as that.
I can see that passion right now.
Yeah, sorry.
No, don't apologize. It's fantastic. I see the passion.
Yeah.
So, how would somebody go about getting a hold of you or finding out more about?
Again, it's all on the website. It's actorinfluencer.com. Okay. You know, they can post on our page. They can find me. If they send a note, say, hey, I saw Rick with Clay, you know, I'd like to talk to him, I'll give him a call. I got no problem with that.
So actorinfluencer.com.
Right. There's an info at actorinfluencer. I see those emails. If somebody wants to rap or have a question, I'm happy to answer.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Awesome. Rick, this has been great.
It's been great. And again, this space is awesome.
Appreciate that.
It's very comfortable and very, it's a good space.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in and
Thanks
being
for
our
having me,
first
man.
guest.
Yeah.
Real pleasure, Rick.
Same with you.
Thanks so much, man. Okay, guys, another episode of the Performance Zone. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, listening in, viewing in, however you're receiving this. And tune in for the next one. We'll bring you another industry expert to enlighten and inform. Until then,
Thanks.
God bless you.